residency, for those of you in Canada and for those of you in the US, how do you land remote jobs, especially when you're transitioning from one career path into another career path? And that's always been an issue for so many people. Or back in my home country, I worked as a banker, I worked as a logistics professional, I worked in admin, I worked in HR. Now I've moved to another country. I've moved to the US, I've moved to Canada, I've moved to a country outside my home country. How do I land a job? Okay, so I'll be showing you some unconventional strategies today, the things you need to take note of, and the new strategies you need to start deploying. So if you know somebody who has also been trying to apply to jobs and land jobs, and they've been struggling to get interviews, they've been struggling to get an inroad into organizations in 2026, then you want to invite them into our session today. All right, so we're going to get cracking right immediately, and we'll have an amazing time. I want us to keep the session interactive. Okay, so you can always use the chat, ask as many questions as you want, and I'll be very happy to answer all the questions. But just before we get started, I want us to know the reason why we are here today. Okay, and I'll start by doing a little bit of introduction, and then we'll dive right into the main meat of our session. First of all, who are we at Tenalytics? And what is Tenalytics all about? So Tenalytics is a leading educational technology company, and the focus for us is helping people land high-paying jobs within the tech ecosystem across multiple areas, from data analytics to data science to business analysis, cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. We operate out of Alberta in Canada and also London in the UK. Over the last 5 years, we've been able to help over 4,000 people with no prior experience, no prior knowledge, to transition from the classroom into the tech ecosystem. We've helped nurses become healthcare data analysts. We've helped care workers, personal support workers. We've helped them become healthcare data analysts, healthcare reporting analysts. We've helped accountants. We've helped bankers become project managers, cybersecurity analysts, and so on. And I'll be showing you exactly how we've been able to help over 4,000 plus people to make this transition. We have over 182 full-time employees and access to 300 plus industry experts. And the focus for these experts is to ensure that you have a smooth sailing journey when you're transitioning from where you are into a role within the tech ecosystem. When we say tech, we are very particular about the roles in tech, because tech in itself is very broad. So we focus on specific areas cutting across data analytics, health tech, that's including healthcare data analyst, the healthcare business analyst, the healthcare project manager, business analysis, data science, data engineering, and so on and so forth. And there's a reason why we focus on these areas. And as we move on in our session today, you'd start to understand the reason why we focus on these areas. Okay, so Christian is saying, I'm looking for a job, even an interview, I can't get an. I'll tell you the reason why you're struggling to land an interview, Christian. And by the end of our session today, you would know exactly what you need to start doing. Okay, because a lot of people make the same mistakes you are making. I'm sure I know exactly the way you apply to jobs. But before we wrap up today, you know exactly what you need to start doing, what you need to stop, more importantly, and what you need to start. Okay, that I can guarantee you're going to get from this session today. All right, so just sit back, relax, and we'll have an amazing time within the next 1.5 hours. All right, and for me, leading the session today, my name is Adeza Suleiman. I'm a technology expert. I have over a decade experience spanning across management consulting, data analytics, data engineering, and data science. I started my career as a management consultant. And just like so many of you, my first degree was not in computer science. It was not in technology. My first degree was in industrial chemistry. So I studied chemistry in the university. And right out of the university, I got a job as a management consultant. But I knew I wanted more. I didn't want to do management consulting. I wanted to move into other areas. And then I found data analytics. And fast forward 12 years later, I founded Tenalytics as a vehicle to help other people like me to make the same transition. So I'm the founder of Tenalytics, the co-founder of Amdari, and using these two edtech platforms, we've been able to help over 4,000 people that were like me with no technology background, no technology experience, and we've helped them to transition across multiple areas, from the US to the UK to Canada, across Europe, and so on. Currently, I'm a data analytics and engineering contractor in Canada. I've lived in the UK, worked in the UK as a customer insights analyst, data science consultant. I've worked remotely for companies in the US back when I was in my home country in Nigeria. I've worked with one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa as a data analyst and also as an MIS analyst, Management Information Systems Analyst. It's a fancy way of saying a data analyst who reports to the board of an organization. I've also worked as a data analytic consultant with FITC. FITC is an organization owned by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Bankers Committee. My experience spans across multiple sectors, from educational technology to automobile, financial services. That's where I started my career, and also in sports. All right. So before we jumped into this session today, we asked you a few questions and you responded. You told us the exact reason why you are here today. And we have a couple of people here. Before I go deeper into my session today, I want us to talk about the real reason most of us are here. It's not just to hear about the career path, the best career path for you to get into, or it's not just about getting a job. It's about so many people thinking about survival, stability, growth, and more importantly, creating a better future for themselves. So we have a group of people here today. Some of you, you're not just looking for a job, you're trying to secure a future in Canada, in North America, depending on where you are. You want to get a job to build a career and settle down where you are at the moment. And for some of you, you are here today because you're watching your visa expire. You probably came in for a master's, for a postgraduate diploma, or for a diploma program. You finished, you've gotten your postgraduate work permit. However, you've not been able to land the job, and you watch your visa, the countdown, the dates, every single day you get closer to the end of your visa and your stay in the country. So it's important and pertinent that you get a job. And the question is, how do you get these opportunities? For some of you, you're just physically exhausted. You don't have a proper job at the moment. You're currently in between a transition job. I'd like to call it a transition job, and getting a job that is progressive. So you probably work in the warehouse, you probably work in as a personal support worker or thereabouts. These are jobs you necessarily don't want to do. You feel, or you currently feel, you had respected careers back home, but after you moved, you realize that it's a different ballgame entirely. You need a little bit more to break into the job market. Okay. And for some of you, you simply want more time with your family. Okay. You currently pay the costs with your time and your energy, physically draining work at the moment, and you don't have time to spend with your family. You are looking for a job that is remote, that is hybrid, that'll give you the opportunity to bond with your family, have more time, but you don't know where to start. Okay, so in my session today, I'll show you how to do 4 things. And I want you to know that if you fall into any of these categories that I'm sharing today, you're in the right place. And just like the gentleman, Christian, who said he's been applying to jobs, he's been trying to find a job, but no interviews and no jobs. I'll let you know and tell you exactly what you need to do. All right. So 4 things I'll show you how to do today. Okay, non-negotiables. Number 1 is I'll show you how to identify the best career path for your situation. You want to get PR, remote work, higher income, depending on this current situation you find yourself. I'd show you how to navigate the space. I'd also show you how to transition into the tech ecosystem without starting over. So a lot of people think I work in healthcare. I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse associate at the moment, or a nurse assistant. And if I want to transition into a technology role, it means I have to start from the beginning, or I have to start from zero. But that's not the case. Okay, so I'll show you people that have done exactly what you want to do and how they were able to do it. So if you fall into that category, I want you to know that there is nothing wrong with you and there is a way for you. I'd also show you how to gain experience to showcase to employers. And if you notice, I did not say gain the skills. I said gain experience, because a lot of people chase the wrong thing, especially when you move to a new country. You want to get that next certification, that next degree, that next diploma, and you realize that you've gotten all these paper qualifications, but they don't help you to land that job. Employers in 2026 don't care about what you say you can do. They care about what you have done. Okay, so how do you gain that experience to show employers what you've done and you're the best person for the job? I'll show you how to gain that work experience. And finally, most importantly, I'll show you how to start today. Okay, so we're going to dive right into our session, and I'll be showing you some of the best strategies to land remote jobs in Canada, land remote jobs in the US specifically. So I'll focus a little bit on North America today. So, but if you're somewhere joining us today, you're in the UK, you're in somewhere in Europe, it's still it's going to be a valuable session for you. All right. Now, for you to land jobs in 2026, you have to be a little bit more unconventional. You can't do the conventional stuff, what everybody else is doing. If you do that, you get the same result everybody gets. So you want to be unconventional. And being unconventional means you have to do things a little bit differently. And I'll share with you, there are so many strategies, but there are just so many stuff we can talk about within the space of about 1 hour and a half. So I'll share 3 strategies today, but I'll double down on 2 of those 3 strategies, because one of them, you're already very familiar with them. Okay, so I'll focus on 2 out of 3. Now, you have to be unconventional, like I mentioned. And looking at the 3 strategies today, number 1 is, when you want to land a job today, everybody goes and applies to job boards, the general job boards. So I call them the general job boards. All right. And Christian, please give me the thumbs up if I'm correct. You do this every day. You apply to hundreds of jobs every day. You go on different job boards, you apply, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, Indeed. If you're in Canada, you go to Workopolis, you go to eluta.ca, you go to different platforms to apply to jobs. It's either you get an interview and you don't eventually qualify to the next stage, or you don't even get an interview at all. So this is what a lot of people do. And if this is what you do, guess what? You only expose yourself to 40% of the jobs available in the market. Because not all employers put out vacancies. Not all employers would advertise on these different job boards. So if this is all you focus on, you only expose yourself to 40% of the jobs available. So the question is, do I stop applying on job boards, or what do I do? 2 things you have to do. First of all is you must have a targeted strategy, which means knowing the job boards to focus on. Specific job boards that will get you the jobs a lot faster. So what we do at Analytics is we scrape jobs from multiple job boards, most of them paid job boards. And these are job boards that you have to pay to. You subscribe to get jobs, and we get those jobs and we vet the jobs. And we are sure that these are the type of jobs you can get. And then we make those jobs available to you. I'll show you what it looks like. Excuse me. So that's why you can see I have 10 Analytics at the top, and then I have Amdari Jobs at the bottom. And I'll show you what this platform looks like. So rather than scouring so many different platforms, you have one unified platform with jobs available to you. And these are the type of jobs you can do, you can get based on the skills that you have, and you can apply on these job boards. Very, very important. So you're not applying to jobs randomly. You're applying to specific targeted roles. The only time you now move into other job boards is when you've exhausted the jobs from the Tenalytics job board and jobs from the Amdari job board. So I'll show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you one or two other platforms, my favorite platforms from here, and one of them is JobRite. If you've heard about JobRite or you've used JobRite before, give me the thumbs up. I want to know, for those of you who have used JobRite, if you haven't, you are seeing JobRite for the first time, give me the thumbs down. If you've used JobRite before, give me the thumbs up. If you haven't, you are seeing JobRite for the first time, give me the thumbs down. Okay, Gabriel, with the thumbs down. Okay, Damaris also. Babajide, okay, fantastic. So we are going to learn something new today. JobRite is one of my favorite platforms, and you see the reason why when we move there. If you're in the US and you're not applying to jobs on JobRite, you are making a big mistake. Okay, so let me show you what the Tenalytics job board looks like. So I said two things you have to do when you apply on general job boards. Okay, number one is targeted jobs. You must target the jobs you apply to. And one of the ways you easily get that is a consolidation within the Tenalytics job board and the Amdari job board. The second thing you must do is you must tailor your CV. Everybody says this, okay? So it's a cliche today to say tailor your CV to the job applications. If it's difficult, for those of you that apply to jobs, okay, show by the, give me the thumbs up. If it's so difficult to tailor your CVs today, you have to apply to 10 jobs. And for every single job, you have to tailor that CV to the job requirements. If you agree with me that that's not an easy task to complete, give me the thumbs up. If you think it's easy, it's straightforward, give me the thumbs down, okay? I just want to be sure. Let's engage, and I want to be sure that we are all in sync. Okay, Peter gives me the thumbs up. Damaris give me the thumbs up. I want to get more feedback, okay? More feedback. Gabriel, fantastic. Okay, now we agree that it's not easy. So the question is, how do I tailor? I have to apply to, let's say, 10 jobs in a day. How do I ensure that I'm not just taking one CV, throwing it on the wall, or throwing it at multiple jobs and expecting that it sticks? How do I ensure that when I apply to this job, I'm almost guaranteed an interview? I'll show you exactly what you need to do. So let's start with that. So I'll show you the Tenalytics job board and what it looks like, the Amdari job board. But let's get to the Tenalytics job board. So at Tenalytics, for those who have registered, who are part of the program, you have a dashboard, a learning management system. This is where any day, anytime, anywhere, you can come in here to learn, watch some videos, practice. This is outside the live classroom. So you have the opportunity to do all of this. And one of the things you have on your job board is what? Your job tracker. Your job what? Tracker. So if you click on the job tracker, it takes you to a job board. We post these jobs every Sunday. So the next set of jobs would come in on Sunday. Okay, so we post these jobs on Sunday. Now, let's take, for example, I want to apply to this job as an analyst, price and costs. Okay, but I want to apply to this role as a data analyst, look back health in the US. I can apply to any of these roles. And if I want to apply, what do I do? This is where, instead of going to different job boards, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, Glassdoor, and so on and so forth, you have everything in one place. So if I click on this, because I want to apply to this job, for example, so I click on apply now, it takes me to the website where I can put in my application. So it's a health tech organization in Dallas, Texas. It's a remote job opportunity, and I can start to apply to this job. Now, before I go ahead and apply, remember, I said something, which is you must tailor your CV. And tailoring the CV takes a lot of time. So how do we make it easy for you? That was where we came up with a tool called CV Matchly. Okay, so CV Matchly is an AI tool, a proprietary tool built in-house that helps you do all the heavy lifting. Now, let's say I want to apply to this job. You can see what the job is all about. You can see the duties. Your role simply, involves analyzing data. Okay, you're going to analyze data, identify patterns, get to the root cause of problems, and so on and so forth, data visualization, and all of that. I don't want to stress myself or take too long to apply to this job. So what do? I use CV Matchly. So I've installed CV Matchly, for example. All I need to do is click on it to bring it up. Okay, I bring CV Matchly up. I would have uploaded my CV on CV Matchly, and all I need to do is I'll copy this job. Okay, so I'll copy everything, the job requirements. What do they want for this particular role? I copy everything. Okay, I copy everything. So when I copy this, I'm simply going to tell CV Matchly that take that CV that I've uploaded, look at the job requirement that I've copied, and tell me by how much do I match this job before I apply. So if I know how much I match the job, I know the work I have to do to ensure that I can get an interview. Because the goal is not just to apply, the goal is to get an interview. So I bring back CV Matchly, I go to the job description, and I paste what I've copied. I paste it in there, and immediately CV Matchly starts to analyze the job requirements vis-a-vis my CV. And it tells me that I match the CV, or I match the job requirements by 79%, which is fair. However, is 79% competitive? If I apply to this job with 79% match to the job requirement, do you think you'll get an interview? Type in a yes, type in a no in the chat, or give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Would 79% guarantee an interview? Yes or no, or thumbs up or thumbs down? Just, okay, Chinedum says, give me the thumbs down, says no. Babajide gives a thumbs up. Donald gives a thumbs up. The only reason you'll get an interview with a 79% is if more candidates fall within this category. And I can tell you for free, if you have anything less than 85%, you're not going to get called for an interview. The job market today is highly competitive. And for people who know what to do and know how to do this, they know that 79% will not get you an interview. So what do? You have to optimize your CV to meet the requirements of that job. And that's rather than doing it manually, getting your CV and trying to edit and do this and do that. All you have to do is come right here and click on what? Optimize CV. And the moment I click on optimize CV, I click on what? Generate optimize CV. Okay. Okay, so let's get this done one more time. Generate optimize CV. It's going to optimize my CV for me to meet the requirements of this job and move my CV to at least 85% or even above 85%. And that's what you want to get. So before you go ahead and apply to any job, you must ensure that you fall within nothing less than 85% of the job requirements, so that at least you get called for an interview. Okay, so the optimization is complete. I can download the optimized CV, and I'll show you what the optimized CV looks like very quickly. Okay, so I'll show you what the optimized CV looks like, and this is what it looks like. All right, so the professional summary, the core skills, the technical skills, which has been aligned to the job itself. Now, if I take this same CV and upload, it's going to give me a higher score before I can go ahead and apply to this job. All right, so this is what you want to do. So you have nothing less than 85 match before you go ahead and apply. So a lot of people do this with ChatGPT, with Claude, and so on. It's not bad to do that. However, because organizations also use a lot of AI tools to detect what has been, developed using AI, you also get reduced ATS points when you get to just do a ChatGPT in and out and get your CV. So these are some of the things you have to take note of. Remember, you target the jobs you apply to, number one. And number two, you have to tailor your CV and get it done in the shortest time possible. So let's try to upload the optimized CV and let's see if we'll get a higher score. Okay, so I'll go to the optimized CV, I'll upload it. Let's copy and paste the job requirement again. And let's analyze and let's see if it gives us a better score and we go ahead and apply. Now you can see that from 79%, now you have 97% match after the CV optimization. So I want you to tell me now, if somebody applied with 79% and another person applies with 97%, who would get called for the interview first? The 79% or the 97%? Who would get called for the interview? Just type into the chat. Let's keep it engaging. You can type into the chat. If you agree that the 97% would get called for the interview, you can also give me a thumbs up so I know we are all on the same page. Okay, so Gabriel gives me the thumbs up. Babajide, 97%. Damaris, Charles, absolutely. This is what you want to do. Okay, Ron Carter also says the same thing. Now, I want to show you how amazing JobRite is, okay? And then I'll go to the second and the third strategy when applying to try to get remote jobs, try to get organizations that would guarantee you an interview, okay? So let's go to JobRite. Now, JobRite is a LinkedIn for the applicants, okay? So you have LinkedIn, which is mostly designed. Let me log in very quickly. So you have LinkedIn that is mostly designed for the organization. Organizations want to hire, they post on LinkedIn, people go ahead, create profiles, apply to jobs on LinkedIn. But JobRite is for the applicants. And what does that mean? It would look at your CV, your job profile, and recommend jobs that you can apply to, okay? And you get to see the percentage match, just like I showed you with CV Matchly. CV Matchly was built in-house by Tenalytics. JobRite gives you something similar, which shows you the match, how much you match that job, if it's available for a H-1B sponsorship, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now let's assume I want to get a job as a data analyst in the US. And there are specific skills I don't want to, I don't know how to use Tableau, for example. I can come right here, go to search, and I type data. Excuse me. I type data analyst. I've been wanting to sneeze for a while, so glad it came up. So data analyst, I type that, click on it, and I'll see different results. But guess what? I can go ahead and start applying to all these different jobs, but I want to exclude specific skills. Maybe I don't have Tableau, so I want a data analyst role that doesn't require Tableau. I want a data analyst role that doesn't require Power BI or SQL or a particular skill. Okay, I can always change that from the filters. So I can go to filters, I can look for the skills, specific skills, okay, and I can select the skills I want to see and the ones I don't want to see. Okay, so let's assume I don't know Tableau, but I know Excel, I know Power BI, I know SQL. I can take out Tableau, I can add more skills, I can take out more, I can specify exactly what I want to see. And this is where JobRite gives you an amazing, results as an applicant. You can select the type of companies you want to apply to. early stage, growth stage, late stage, and public company. And I'll tell you why this is extremely important in my second strategy. Okay, so you can select all these things. You can select if you want, work authorization, H1B. So you want organizations with H1B that can confirm H1B job, opportunities, sponsor your visas, and so on and so forth. I want to apply to jobs that are experience level, mid-level, senior level. You can break it down to that extent. And then you click on what? Confirm. And the moment you do that, you'd realize that you're only seeing the jobs specific to the skills that you have. And this is amazing because a lot of people think I need to have heaven and earth in order to apply to a job. But that's not the case. There are jobs that meet your specific skills at specific times. We've had people get jobs with just Excel and SQL. We've had people get jobs with just their understanding of Excel, Power BI, and SQL, and so on and so forth. All right. So a lot of people will think to get a job today, I must know Python, I must know R, I must know Fabrics, and so on and so forth. But that's not the case. And that's what JobRight helps you do. And always remember, when you select a particular job, what do? Tailor your CV to that job requirement. So you can see you match this job by 46%, this by 82%, 70%, 52, 77. So you can also filter by top matched. And if I filter by top matched, it means I can start by applying to the jobs that I match at a high level, 98%, H1B sponsorship, likely. I want to apply to this job. The next one is 98. The next one is 98. So I focus and target the roles I know I can get. And that's why JobRight is amazing. So I'm going to send you my slides at the end of today's session. All these you see here, they have links embedded. So you can click on it. It takes you to the website and you can start to use those websites. So don't forget, when you apply on general job boards, target the companies you're applying to, the roles you're applying to, filter for the roles, and more importantly, tailor your CV. Okay. Now that's the first strategy you need to deploy. And for you to get my slide at the end of the session, make sure you fill the attendance. So my colleague Elijah would post the attendance form. Once you fill, you get access to the slides, the recording, and other materials for today. Now, the second strategy, before I get to the second strategy, I want to ask this question. Which do you think would be easier for you to get a job in? Option A big corporate, or option B, a startup? Would it be easier for you to get a job in a company that has thousands of employees, or would it be easier for you to get a job in a startup with maybe 2 years, 3 years in business, and they have maybe 0 to 50, 0 to 200 employees? Big corporate or startup? Just type into the chat. I'd like to know your thoughts. Gabriel says startup. So type into the chat. I'd like to know what you think. Where do you think you get the opportunity a lot faster? Have conversations with the founder, the co-founder, and you can get that decision at the snap of a finger. So just type into the chat what you think. Pelumi says startup. Ron Carter says startup. Okay, I want one more feedback and then we get to the second strategy. Ron Carter says startup as well. Charles says big corporate. Okay, now I agree with Gabriel, I agree with Pelumi and Ron Carter. It's a lot easier for you to get opportunities within startups. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't chase the big corporates. Okay, it's fine for you to do that, but you can't only focus on that. You need to target startups because this is where you would get accelerated conversations with those that make the decision within the organization. You can easily meet a co-founder, you can easily meet a founder, you can easily meet somebody in C-suites within the organization, and in less than a week, you get opportunities. So what I always advise people to do is this: when you apply to be corporate, it's fine in itself. Also target startups. And when I mean target, we are not going to a random job board and just applying to jobs. And if one is a startup, then you're fine. No, you actually target these startups. And when you do this, you realize that I haven't been getting interviews, but your interview starts to come. Okay. And I'll show you two things you also need to do here when applying to startups. So I've kept a few of the list of platforms where you can get access to startup jobs. And I'll also show you a document, which I'll be sharing at the end of my session today. And that's why it's important for you to make sure you fill the attendance. Okay, if you fill the attendance, you get access to all of these. So let's say I want to land job boards for startups. Okay, so job boards for startups is a document I'll be sharing at the end of today's session. Okay, job boards for startups. So I've kept a few job boards right here, and we're going to check out some of them and see how important it is for us to target startups. So we have Well Found, one of my favorites. You have startup.jobs, especially for those in Canada. Well Found for those in the US, also relevant for those in Canada as well. So let's check a few, and then we'll come back and I'll show you something very important that you have to do when applying to these startup jobs. Okay, so let's get into Well Found first of all. All right, so I'm going to click on Well Found, and this takes me to Well Found. Okay, so Well Found gives you amazing startup opportunities. So now I can click on any of these floating lists, and it takes me to all the cybersecurity jobs. It takes me to all the jobs with startups in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, in Seattle, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if I click on cybersecurity, for example, it's going to take me to the top cybersecurity startups in 2026. And I can start looking at the organizations and the jobs they have available. All right, and the jobs they have available. So this is a valuable resource to anybody who is applying to land a job today. Or I can simply go to find jobs, and I can type out the job title and the location of where I want to apply to this job. So I can come here, for example, I want to get a job as a business, or let's say as a project manager. Okay, as a project manager. Let's see if there are roles available. I'm not going to specify any location. But let's check for a data analyst or a data scientist and so on and so forth. Data analyst. Okay. Or a data scientist role. I click on that and I click on search, and it shows me different roles available I can apply to as a data scientist. As a data scientist, you can also apply to jobs as a machine learning engineer. Okay, so if you look at one of the roles you had on the list, you have machine learning engineer. Okay, so you can pick one of these roles, okay, and you search for the roles and see the organization's hiring. If you look at this company, Future Fit AI, actively hiring, the role is about 100 to 140K. They respond within 2 weeks, and they have 11 to 50 employees. It's a company that is growing. You are likely going to get at least an interview, and the interview is likely going to be with HR and the co-founder. So from the first interview, you can tell if you're going to get this job or not. This same organization, another organization, Jerry.ai, 51 to 200 employees. I want to target these type of organizations. And I know that I get easy access, and I'm also able to get at least an interview, and I land a job eventually. And not just in the US, you have also in Canada and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is Well Found. There are other platforms like startup.jobs. Okay, another of my favorites, startup.jobs. And we can search for different roles. You want to apply to a data analyst role, for example, you can type that in, data analyst, and you'd see all the roles, all the data analyst roles. You can also specify the location, and you start to see those jobs available. Now, the beauty about this is these are startups. Startups, which means they are actively hiring, they're actively looking for candidates like yourself, and you can easily land an interview with any of these organizations on the list. And again, like I mentioned, before you apply, what do you do? So this is a data analyst role, for example. It was posted 3 days ago. We click on this. We want to apply to this job. What do? You bring out your CV Matchly once again. You copy the job description, paste it, and see how much you match to this job requirement. You tailor your CV, you go ahead and put in the application. But there is something else I always advise that you do when you're applying to startups. Because you have close proximity to the decision makers, the founders and the co-founders, this is what you do. Ensure you try to reach out when you've applied. So what we've done is we create something we call a company tracker for you. Okay, I'll show you what a company tracker looks like. So we create a company tracker for you that includes all those organizations, their LinkedIn URL, the founders of the companies, the hiring manager, the founder LinkedIn URL, and the roles they have available. And we make this available to you. So what this means is if I'm applying to a company, for example, and I want to know and get access to the hiring manager, I want to know the founder and send a message to the founder. We show you the type of messages you craft and how you sequence your communication to ensure that you get a response. Because the way you sequence how you reach out on LinkedIn will determine if you get a response or not. So we create this for you and make this available. So you know when I've applied to that company, I do what? Come here, look for the founder, look for the hiring manager, go to their LinkedIn URL, go to the founder URL and send a message. Connect to them first of all, and then you send a message. This is how you reach out and get access to the companies that can easily hire you. And also, one other strategy I like to advise is, depending on your nationality, depending on where you're from, you can also get, you structure you structure how you connect. And what do I mean by that? Let me show you how. I'm in Canada, for example. I want to connect to other Nigerian founders because I'm a Nigerian in Alberta. I want to connect to other Nigerian founders. What do? I come in here and I type Nigerian founder, Canada. Ghanaian founder, Canada. Cameroonian founder, Canada. Okay, Wisconsin founder, USA, depending on where you are. So I click on that. It takes me to, I'll see so many founders that have companies. Okay, so I come here, click on show all, and I'm going to see different founders, the type of businesses they run, and so on. And I can start connecting and targeting them by sending messages. And the messaging is sequenced and structured, not just anyhow messages that would not get responses. And these are the things we also show you how to do. Okay, so when you apply, and I mentioned at the beginning, if you remember, if all you do is to go to a job board and you churn out applications, you stand the chance of getting only 40% of the jobs available. Okay, a founder like Esther, for example, if I go to Esther's profile and I want to see what Esther does, Esther is a media strategist and brand visibility professional. Okay, she's based in Toronto, Canada, and I can reach out to Esther, connect with Esther, reach out to her, and I'm reaching out by positioning value, the value I can bring to her. If I'm a business analyst, I'll research the company, go to the about page of a company, look at what they do, use AI, large language models like ChatGPT or Claude. I would analyze the business, look for the business in the news, go to their website, scrape as much information as I can, and I'll come up with a document called the CEO executive plan. This is what I've seen about your business, and this is how I can help your business as a business analyst. This is how I can help your business as a data analyst. This is how I can help your business as a GRC analyst, as the case might be, depending on the role you have skills in. When you do this, you access more roles, more jobs that haven't been posted, or you've reached out to the founders, the co-founders, the decision makers that can get you in, and at least give you a 15 minute conversation for the opportunity of an interview. So when you apply to startups and you have all the startup job boards, more importantly, you also want to take this route of targeting organizations. So you have the LinkedIn URL available. All you have to do, if you click on any of the URL right here, it takes you to the company's page, and you can connect to the founder and you sequence the messages. You have companies in Canada, companies in the UK, companies in the US, and so on and so forth. That's the second strategy. Now, the third strategy that gives you access to the other 60% of jobs, and I want to ask this question. If you knew that your next employer would be attending an event in your city, will you attend that event? Yes or no? If you knew that your next employer, your potential employer, would be attending an event in your city, will you attend that same event? Just type a yes or no. And I call this targeting innovation hubs. So type in a yes or no. Gabriel says yes. Like to get more feedback, so type, let me know what you think. Babajide gives a thumbs up. Let's get more feedback. Gold, what do you think? Paul, Peter, yes, yes, yes. Charles says yes. Damari says yes. Gold gives a thumbs up. Fantastic. Now, this is what I call targeting innovation hubs. A lot of people don't do this. Everybody says networking, networking, networking. But how do you network? Where do you network? As a somebody looking for a job, as a job seeker, how do you network? So what I always advise that you do is simple. Two things again. It's either you use a list already curated. So we curated a list for you. You can see that right here. That's a list of innovation and tech hubs in different cities, from cities in Europe, cities in the US, cities in Canada, cities in the UK, and so on and so forth. So what you can do is you go online and just do a search. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. I'll just go online and I'll do a search, and I'll type what? Innovation hubs. I need to take out the capital letters. Innovation hubs near me. Innovation hubs, tech accelerators near me. So you can type innovation hubs near me, tech accelerators near me, and just hit enter. And it's going to show you the different innovation hubs around you, the different tech accelerators around you. And what do? You start to visit these innovation hubs. Out of everything I've said so far, this is one of the most important strategies you can deploy. Because in these innovation hubs, in these tech accelerators, you have the founders, you have the co-founders attending multiple events, and you can attend those events for free. And when you attend those events, you have the opportunity to meet the next possible opportunity. And I'll tell you how somebody got a job like that. His name is Charles. Charles lives in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Charles had completed his business analysis program, but he had not gotten a job yet. So Charles reached out to me. Well, I've been applying to jobs. I've not been able to get a job. And I told him, meet me at Edmonton Unlimited. Edmonton Unlimited is one of the tech accelerators, innovation hubs in Edmonton, Alberta. So I told him, meet me in Edmonton Unlimited. Let's have a conversation. So I met with Charles. We had a conversation. And what I told him was simple. You need to visit this accelerator as often as you can. They have something called the community coffee. So I'm going to show you that. Let's click on the link and let's go to the hub. And I'll tell you how Charles got a job by doing this. So this is the website of Edmonton Unlimited. All you need to do when you go to any tech accelerator, innovation hub, go to the events and click on what? Events. Okay. And then you want to look for the free events that they have. And one of the events in Edmonton Unlimited that is free is the community coffee. Every Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., you have community coffee. So if you click on this, for example, you'd see this. The next one is July 8th, 9 a.m. to 11. And this is where founders of companies meet. Founders, co-founders, the C-suite executives, they meet to network. And for you looking for a job, this is a hotspot for you to easily meet somebody. So I told him, Charles, you need to attend the community coffees every single Wednesdays. Make it a duty, 9 a.m. to 11, 2 hours on Wednesdays. Go there and meet. Now, he did it the first time, the second week, the third week. In the fourth week, or on the fourth week, do you know what happened? He met with a Nigerian, the person that has, and this particular Nigerian happens to own the largest laundromat, the largest chain of laundromats in Alberta. So he met with the guy, and the guy and he pitched himself to him. Oh, I'm looking for a job. I'm out of work. I've been out of work for the past 6-7 months, and I need to get a job. I'm a business analyst. This is what I can do. And he said, okay, do you know what? Here's my number. Reach out to me on this day. He reached out to him. They scheduled an interview. Long story short, Charles currently works with that guy as a business analyst. He works in his organization as a business analyst by simply doing what? Visiting Edmonton Unlimited to interact with the founders and the co-founders and other decision makers. And that's where the next possible opportunity can come up for you. So I asked the question at the beginning, if you knew that your next employer would attend an event in your city, will you attend that event? Your answer was yes. You need to start. You get up off your seat. Nothing really happens at the comfort of your home in front of your screen, only applying to jobs. You also need to get out there, meet with people, connect with people, let people know that you have this skill and you want to get opportunities within this space. That was how Charles got his job, and so many other people have gotten opportunities from here. So depending on where you are, if you type innovation hubs near me, tech accelerators near me, you would see those opportunities, you see those locations pop up. But what we've also done for you is we've collated a list of all these tech accelerators and hubs. So for Christian, at the beginning, when you said, I can't get an interview, I'm sure, I believe you are learning a few things you need to start doing that you probably haven't done before. Okay, so visit the next hub near you, visit the next tech accelerator near you, connect with people, and you'll be surprised and shocked that the next opportunity will just come from a conversation that you have. So what we do is we train you on how to connect, how do you start the conversation, and how do you pitch your idea, because you don't want to be a nuisance to everybody just telling them you need a job. No, that's not the best strategy. Okay, so you introduce yourself using an elevator pitch, and your elevator pitch follows the SEAT approach, SEAT. S for your skills, E for your experience, A for your achievements, and T for your traits or for your type of person. All right, so we teach you how to do these elevator pitches, and then you know how to have conversations. But we've also curated a list for you, and all you need to do, if you go to that list, I'm going to show you what it looks like. If you go to that list, you have all the tech hubs right here. So if I want to look at the tech hubs in Canada, for example, maybe I'm in BC or I'm in Ontario, depending on my province, I can click on that and I can see some of the tech hubs in BC. the popular tech hubs in Alberta, you see Edmonton Unlimited, the one I showed you just a few seconds ago. You have Platform Calgary in Calgary, and so on and so forth. You need to have a multi-level strategy in order to land these jobs. If all you do is just to apply, you stand the chance of 40%. The other 60% comes from all the things I've shown you so far. Now, it's one thing to know what to do to apply to these jobs. Is another thing entirely to actually have the skills and the experience to do these jobs. Okay, so I told you that one of the things I'll show you how to do is I'll show you how to apply to jobs, how to get access to remote jobs, and I'll also show you how to identify the skills and the career path to focus on for you to get a job. If you're looking for PR, you want to get a proper job that gives you reasonable salaries and so on and so forth. How do you start to access those opportunities? So before you even start applying to jobs, you must have the right skill. And this means you want to get into a high demand career path. Get into what? A high demand career path. There are multiple career paths you can consider. When you get into a high demand career path, you make getting the job 10 times easier. So if you're in a career path that employers are actively searching for, you make getting the job 10 times easier for yourself. And what career path would you say are high in demand in these regions, in North America, in Canada, in the US, and so on? I'd highlight a few for you today. Okay, one is the business analyst role, the data analyst role, the agile project manager, the healthcare business analyst, the healthcare data analyst, and the GRC analyst. These are 6 career paths you want to double down on. And these 6 career paths are non-coding career paths, non-coding, which means perhaps you don't want to start coding at this point in your career. So how do I get opportunities within a particular space where I don't have to learn how to code, but I can transition into the tech ecosystem? These are the 6 career paths I want you to have at the back of your mind. You can write it down somewhere, and they're all high-paying career paths as well. And the beauty about these areas, they are skill-based career path, which means I don't need to have experience in order to get in. I did not have experience before I got my job as a data analyst. Right? I worked as a management consultant. I studied industrial chemistry. I got a job as a data analyst. So the question is how? So the first thing is identify the career path you want to move into. Out of these 6 areas, identify one. This is what I want to do. And I'm going to break it down and show you the skills, how to learn, and how to get the best opportunities. How did someone like Charles, who was a business analyst, who met with somebody in Edmonton Unlimited, how was he able to convince that person that he was the right person for the job? What did he do? Okay, so after you've identified the career path you want to get into, the next step is learning that career path. And I'll show you the best way to learn. But before we get into how to learn, I mentioned that a lot of people think if I have to transition, I have to start from zero. But you don't have to start from zero. So how do you transition without starting all over from zero? If you have 5 years experience doing something else, how do you ensure that you move into that next career path and you're still able to take the experience you have into the next career path? I'll give you an idea and I'll show you people that have actually done it. All right. So first of all is your current experience plus adding tech skills to that experience gives you a new career. You don't lose your previous experience. Your previous experience is still valuable. In fact, your previous experience is gold for you. Okay, so I'll give you a few highlights and then I'll show you people that have actually done it and how you can also do the same. Let's take, for example, you've worked in admin as an administrative executive. You've worked in admin for 5 years. What type of skill can you add to your admin skill? Because I'll tell you for free, admin is not competitive. If you want to get PR today as an admin professional, you are wasting your time. There is no province, there is no city, to the best of my knowledge, in Canada, where you can get a provincial nomination or you can get accelerated pathways to PR as an admin professional. So what do? You add agile project management, because as an admin professional, you do a lot of scheduling. You schedule meetings, you get everybody together, you set calendars, and so on and so forth. You do what? You do a lot of planning. You do a lot of organizing. And these are transferable skills in project management. You do a lot of communication. You do a lot of stakeholder management. So what we do for you is we look at your previous career path and we tell you, if you include this particular tech skill, it gives you opportunity in a new area. And it doesn't mean you have to start from zero, because what you now do is you tailor your admin experience to include project management responsibilities, because you were already doing it. You did not just know that these were project management skills and these were project management responsibilities. Okay, so if what you did before in your admin, CV, the CV you have is, oh, I set up meetings, I organize the office, I communicate to all the different stakeholders. We show you how to tailor that to sound more project management, as more project management related skill, rather than you sounding like an admin executive. And that's how you retain your previous experience. Okay, so as an admin professional, for example, you take all the skills you have, you add project management to that, and you can get jobs as an agile project manager, as a PMO analyst. You can get jobs as a project management analyst. You can get jobs as a Scrum Master, because agile is a project management methodology that includes the Scrum framework. So you're going to learn the Scrum framework in Agile. So that's an example of how you retain your work experience and you don't lose it. Another one is healthcare. We have a lot of healthcare professionals, nurses, personal support workers, care workers. Most of them, what they've done is you add data analytics to your skills. And this gives you opportunity to get jobs like a healthcare data analyst, healthcare reporting analyst, and so on and so forth. Do you lose your healthcare experience? No, you don't. Your healthcare experience becomes valuable to any organization. So if I want to hire a healthcare data analyst, and I know that you have a background in healthcare, you'll be more valuable to me, because I know that you're not just analyzing the data, you have domain knowledge. Domain knowledge in healthcare. You can interpret and see patterns and identify things that a data analyst might not identify. And that's where you take your previous experience and you add that to a tech skill, and it gives you opportunities in a new, fully fledged career path where you get to, earn amazing salaries and also get the type of job you want to get. And I'll show you people that have done this practically. They've taken their healthcare experience, they've added data analytics to it, and they've gotten new jobs in other career paths. You also have legal. A lot of lawyers would ask me questions, Adaiza, what can I do with my legal background? I want to get a job in a different area. What do I need to do? Simple. As a legal professional, add governance, risk, and compliance, GRC. GRC is a pathway in cybersecurity. In cybersecurity, a governance, risk, and compliance analyst. And you can get jobs as a GRC analyst, as a compliance analyst, as a data protection professional. And I'll show you people that have done this. So you see how valuable your previous experience is, because when you are in legal, you do a lot of things around compliance. Legal professionals are some of the most compliant professionals when it comes to, this is the code, this is the code of conduct, this is the contract, these are the terms of the contract, we must follow this and follow that, we cannot breach this, and so on and so forth. And as a GRC analyst, that's pretty much what you do. You help organizations comply to industry standards, industry regulations, so they don't contravene those regulations and get penalties and fines and so on and so forth. If you're in IT support, you've done IT support before, you've done something in IT, you can add data analytics, business analysis skills, and get jobs as a data analyst, as a business analyst, and so on. You have HR, you have finance, you have accounting. So if I have accounting background today, and I don't want to work as a CPA, I don't want to work as an accountant, I don't want to work in finance, or I don't just want to work as a HR professional, what do? I add data analytics skills to my HR experience or my HR knowledge, and I become what? A HR analyst or a HR data analyst. I can add data analytics to my finance and accounting background, and I can get jobs as a financial analyst, a financial data analyst, and so on. So you see how your previous experience is not useless, is not wasted. All you have to do is know the right career path, use your experience to that career path, and other pathways become available. Logistics, you add data analytics to that. One of the fantastic type of roles you can get today is as a logistic analyst, as a supply chain analyst, as a demand planner. Organizations like Amazon have multiple demand planners. The way they plan for their Black Friday sales, from Q4 October to December sales, they need to know the number of employees, the number of resources they need to have available to ensure that every single customer gets their package on time. Do you know who does that analysis for them? It's a demand planner. And a demand planner is simply somebody that knows how to look at historical data, analyze that data using data analytics skills, and I can identify that for us to have a smooth sailing operations this holiday period, we need 1,000, contract staff, delivery drivers. We need to have X number of trucks available, and so on and so forth. Logistics plus data analytics, logistic analyst, supply chain analyst, demand planner, and so on. And if you're unemployed, you don't have a job today, one of the easiest career paths you want to consider, it's non-coding, high in demand, is business analysis, data analytics. And you can get jobs in different areas as a sales analyst, as a data analyst, and so on and so forth. So you start to see that you don't have to start from zero. You don't have to start from scratch. Even if you are a new graduate, a recent graduate, you don't have to start from scratch. And this is how it works. Now let's look at somebody interesting. Her name is Abigail. Abigail left Nigeria. She had 13 years experience working with the FIRS in Nigeria. That's the Federal Inland Revenue Service, just like the CRA in Canada and just like the IRS in the US. So she worked with the FIRS for 13 years. And do you know what she did for the FIRS? She was an administrative executive with the FIRS. When she moved to Canada, she followed everything everybody told her to do. Oh, you need to write this certification. Oh, go for that certification. She did all of that. No single interview. So what did Abigail do? Abigail joined business analysis. And before she did that, she got a job as a carer. She worked as a carer in Saskatchewan, Canada. So a carer is simply somebody who takes care of other people that can't take care of themselves, or elderly people and so on. So that was what she did in Saskatchewan, but she wanted more. So what did she do? She joined the business analysis program. And Abigail, within the space of about 7 months, Abigail was able to land a job with the government of Alberta as a supervisor, business services, and data analytics. This is somebody who was a carer, moving from a care role to what? A business services and data analytics supervisor with the government of Alberta. So she moved from Saskatchewan and she moved to Alberta to take that job. You have Pavel. Pavel was a teacher back in Cameroon. He moved to the US and he wanted to get a far better job. He wanted to work remotely. He did a lot of things. He worked as a technician with a HVAC company. He wasn't satisfied with that. He wanted to get a better opportunity. So what did he do? Pavel joined the data analytics program with us. We tailored his CV for him. He wanted to get a job in healthcare. He currently resides in Arizona. He wanted to get a job in healthcare because there were healthcare roles available. So what did he do? He joined the data analytics program, worked on healthcare projects. We helped him tailor his CV to healthcare data analyst CVs. He built a portfolio, tailored every application, just like I showed you how to tailor applications. And last year in March, Pavel got a job as a healthcare data analyst with the Arizona Community Physicians in Tucson, Arizona, in the US. And he got this job less than 3 months after completing his training with us. You have Amaka. Amaka had HR experience back in Nigeria. She moved to Canada. She was out of work in Canada for over 6 months. And she realized that she needed to do more. So what did she do? She joined our HR analytics program. And within the space of about 4 months, Amaka was able to land a job as a HR data analyst with Sask Energy in Saskatchewan, Canada. You have Hope. Hope did everything everybody would tell you to do when you move to a new country. Certification, certification, certifications. She had a Scrum Master certification. She had a project management certification, but she could not land a job in Canada. So whenever she got into any interviews, she never crossed to the next stage to get an opportunity. So what did she do? She joined our Agile Management program. And one of the things we did with Hope was to help her focus a little bit more on her experience and what she can bring to the table. So one thing we told her to do first is work on projects and build a portfolio. Forget about your certifications. That's not going to help you. And she did that. And after joining in September, by December, she got her first interview. We prepped her for the first interview. She moved to the next stage. For the first time after moving to Canada, she got to the second stage of an interview. We prepped her again for that interview. She got to the final stage and she got a job as an associate project manager with Carrier in Waterloo, Ontario. You have someone like Sandra. Sandra was a legal professional. And Sandra wanted to get another opportunity. Okay, she couldn't. Sandra is in the UK. She couldn't get a job in the UK, but she wanted to move into GRC. So what did Sandra do? Using her legal background, adding GRC to that, and she was able to transition from a legal professional to a data protection paralegal. Okay, and if you look at the timeline of how they did it, Sandra, for example, she joined in March 2025. And by October that same year, she landed a job as a data protection paralegal. And these are professionals who had past work experience, and all they needed to do was add GRC, add data analytics, add business analysis, and they got new amazing careers. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, we talked about number one, which is get into a high demand career path. That opens up so much opportunities for you. When you've done that, you need to realize that your past work experience is not useless. Okay, so if we go to Sandra's profile, for example, let me see if I can find Sandra Stevenson. Okay, if you look at Sandra's profile, this was when she did her internship with Amdari. I'm going to explain what Amdari does for you. Amdari is a sister company to Tenalytics. So when you learn at Tenalytics, you gain work experience by doing an internship with Amdari. Okay, so Sandra is a lawyer. She worked as a lawyer. She moved to the UK and she needed to get a job in tech. Today, she works with Hello DPO as a data protection paralegal. This is Sandra, who did not have experience in tech. She didn't know what GRC was all about and so on. And if you listen to the video Sandra created, I have a link to the video right here. She spoke about something very important. That's number one, understanding the GDPR, understanding the framework of compliance in the UK helped her get this job. And she got it from her internship as a GRC analyst. So that's where you start to realize that these opportunities are available to me and I can get this job. So what I'm going to do is I want you to also listen to Hope. Okay, I want you to listen to Hope. This is Pavel as well. Pavel currently works as a healthcare data and reporting analyst. If you go to Pavel's profile, he works with the Arizona Community Physicians in Tucson, Arizona, as a healthcare data and reporting analyst. And one thing that Pavel did, just like Sandra also did, indicating that I have experience with Amdari, Pavel indicated that I have experience with Tenalytics. And this showed the employer that Pavel is not a beginner. Pavel is not a learner. Pavel is somebody that has positioned himself that he can do the job. And this is extremely, extremely important. And before we wrap up, you get to see the relevance of having Pavel having data analysts with Tenalytics on his profile, and so many other people. Sandra had Amdari, which is a sister company to Tenalytics. Somebody like Busola, who currently works with Desjardins, for example. You would also see Busola. Busola works with Desjardins Insurance as a data valorization and performance advisor. Before Busola got this job, she also worked as a performance analyst. But if you look at her, if you look at the timeline, she worked as a data analyst with Tenalytics. So when you join, you don't join as a learner, you don't join as a trainee, you join as a contractor, you join as a consultant. So what that does for you is it positions you as somebody who can do the job. Okay, so I'm going to take you to the second thing you need to do. The first is get into a high demand career path. So what's the second? How do you learn in a way that when you get the job on day one, you know what to do? But before that, let's listen to Hope. You remember Hope, who did all the certifications? She couldn't get a job in project management, and all she needed to do was restructure how she positioned herself. We showed her what you need to do now is what? Tailor your interviews to showcase your experience, build a portfolio. I'll show you what a portfolio looks like. And that was what helped Hope get her job. All right, and this is Hope Abiola. Okay, that's Hope right there. Amazing professional. Currently works as an associate project manager with Carrier. She got this job in December, just after, while she was still undergoing her agile project management training with us. And that's Hope right there as an agile project manager with Tenalytics in Canada. Okay, so let's listen to Hope very quickly, and then I'll come back and tell you the other two things you need to do. The other two things you need to do. Okay, so let's listen to Hope. It's a 3-minute video, very straight to the point. I'll play the video and stop because I want to be sure you can hear, and then I'll continue. So if you can hear Hope, just give me the thumbs up, and then I'll continue playing.
It helped me land my first.
If you could hear Hope speaking, just give me the thumbs up. Okay, fantastic. So let's hear from Hope. She got a 6-figure job, by the way, a 6-figure project management role for somebody who couldn't land a job in Canada after moving to Canada for a while. interviews upon interviews, but she kept getting rejected at the first stage of every interview. So let's hear from Hope. Let's hear what she did and how you can also do the same.
It helped me land my first project management job in Canada, and I'm really grateful for it. Of course, it's a six-figure job, and I appreciate the fact that they had a great impact in me landing that job. Hello, my name is Hope Atoye. I am an alumni of Analytics. I joined the 2024 September cohort class for Agile Project Management. Prior to joining this cohort, I had a certificate in project management, and I had written the PMP, and I'd also written the Scrum Master certification, which I passed both, but I still needed to land a project management role in Canada. Prior to when I moved to Canada, I had an experience with managing projects and handling agile projects in Nigeria. But moving to Canada, I hadn't gathered enough experience in the project space, so I needed to break into that space. Analytics was recommended to me, and I tried it. I had a focus of what I wanted, and they helped me achieve that. I joined the class. It was very interactive. It was very educative. I increased what I knew prior to joining the class, and I learned new things as well. I would definitely recommend Analytics to anyone who is looking to break into a new field or change career path. I think Analytics is where you should be. You should register with them. They would help you with your post-registration, ongoing classes, getting a job, interview processes and all that. While on the project, while on in the class, I applied a couple of jobs, and Analytics helped me with my interview preparation, giving me tips, organizing mock interview sessions as well, and it helped me land my first project management job in Canada, and I'm really grateful for it. Of course, it's a six-figure job, and I appreciate the fact that they had a great impact in me landing that job. I will recommend Analytics to anyone who is looking to change career path, and they would help you through the process before, during, and even after you land a job. They're willing to help you answer questions, guide you through, help you settle in your new role as well. Thank you very much, Analytics. I really appreciate your help in my career growth, and I hope that anyone who is looking to make an impact in their careers or change career path are looking to work with Analytics, because they're one educational agency I would recommend to anyone. Thank you very much, Analytics.
So that's Hope right there. She did everything everybody told her to do. Certifications. That never helped her. So until she started to structure the way she spoke during interviews, we prepped her for those interviews, and she built a portfolio to showcase to employers that this is what I have done, evidence of the job, and not what I can do. Okay. And that was where she started to get opportunities and eventually landed a job with Carrier in Canada, in Ontario, Waterloo, Ontario, as an associate project manager. Now, the second thing you have to do once you've identified the career path you want to move into, and you've realized that my previous experience is not useless, I can add tech skills to that, get into a new career path. The second thing you have to do is what? Learn the skills the right way. And you ask me the question, what does learning the skill the right way mean? Now, what we always focus on is simple. You want to get a job as, let's say Pavel got a job as a healthcare data and reporting analyst with the Arizona Community Physicians. Before Pavel got that job, Pavel had to learn by doing the job. He learned by doing what? The job. So when Pavel was learning to get that job, he worked with healthcare data. He solved healthcare problems, healthcare data medical records, okay, medical records, and so on. Those were the type of data he was analyzing. Most of the people I've seen today, the mistake they make is you want to get a job in a particular industry or a particular sector, but you learn using, generic data sets, sales data, you learn using e-commerce data, the popular ones you'd see, superstore data, and so on and so forth. When you do this, you realize that you are learning generic skills that is not necessarily applicable to the organization you want to move into. So when we say learn the right way, what we simply mean is, number one is you learn by doing the job. You want to become a data analyst, you do the job of a data analyst. You want to become a healthcare data analyst, you do the job of a healthcare data analyst. You want to become a GRC analyst, you must do the job of a GRC analyst. That's the way you must learn. So when you get the job on day one, you know exactly how to do the job. And I'll show you how that is possible. Then the second thing you do when you've learned in a project-based environment and you've learned by doing the job is to showcase that work. Show the world what you can do, what you've done. And there are so many ways you can do it. But one of the best ways is to build a portfolio. A portfolio is where you warehouse all the projects you've completed. You work on those projects, complete them, and you keep them into that portfolio. Okay, so I'll give you an example and I'll show you the classroom of the people that are currently learning to become healthcare data analysts. Okay, I'll show you their classroom and then I'll show you what they are currently learning. Okay, so let me take you to the classroom. So this is the Health Tech North America classroom. So those that are in Canada and those that are in the US. So what they are currently doing is solving problems. So as they learn Excel, as they learn SQL, as they learn Power BI, so this is their SQL Live class. They don't work with any type of data. They work with data in where? Healthcare. So this is a project maximizing clinical efficiency and patient access at Lumina Health Systems. So the data for this project is healthcare data. So you learn SQL by analyzing healthcare data. And that's the best way to learn. So, and this is where I'll show you what a typical live class looks like. So you look at the project, the problem the organization is currently facing. They have issues of misalignment, operational inefficiency, and you are meant to use SQL to solve this problem. So you see the rationale for the project. Why should we solve this problem? And so on and so forth. Okay, and then you have the live class. So if you go to the classroom, you see the recording and how the session actually happens. Okay, so you get to learn from a professional who has done that job. You look at the case studies together and you solve the problems together. You have the opportunity to say, hey, I have made a mistake here. And you look at what I'm doing. You can share your screen. You can ask questions and you get real-time feedback. When you solve this and you work on projects, what do? You post those projects in your portfolio. And this is what a portfolio looks like. Okay, so I'll show you what a portfolio looks like. You post your projects in a portfolio like this. So this is a portfolio of somebody who's worked on different projects, including healthcare projects. So this is a smoking health risk analysis, how smoking affects the different organs of the human body. And you analyze that type of data. So if I click on this to open the reports, to open the Power BI dashboard, you get to see exactly what this particular person has built. And the beauty about it is you can also click on this and access it at the end of today's session, because I'll share the link with you. You'll have the opportunity to get, interact with it. So I can see how this is the heart, for example. I want to see how smoking has affected the liver. I come here, click on the liver, and the report is dynamic and interacts based on what I click on and so on. And that's the way it will be interactive to that potential employer that wants to hire you. This is evidence that you can do the job and you've done the job before. So I can see the number of patients that have their lungs or their livers affected by smoking. I can see the average age, the average BMI, and so on and so forth. That is what a portfolio looks like. So when you learn in a project-based environment, you ensure that you build a portfolio to showcase what you have done. That's where you get to convince an employer they are the right candidate for that job. You're not convincing them about what you can do. You are simply telling them what you've done. So you complete about 15 to 25 projects, and you have those projects in your portfolio. And this serves as work experience for you. All right. So that's number 2. Now, number 3 strategy is what? Gain work experience. And I've kind of hinted on that. So how do you gain work experience in a career path that you've not gotten a job in? So you want to gain work experience. How did Pavel get that job as a healthcare data reporting analyst, even though he had never done, healthcare before? How did he get that job in the US? What did Pavel do? Simple. He worked on healthcare projects. And when he did that, he was able to, he built that from his classroom. So the project-based classroom, the project-based learning environment, he built all those projects. They served as part of his work experience. And then he joined Amdari for his 2-month internship. So Amdari is where you go to do your internship. You learn at analytics, and then you do your internship at Amdari to gain work experience, to collaborate with other professionals, and that gives you the opportunity to gain interpersonal skills, communication skills, and also have Amdari as proof of experience. And also when you need a reference, you get a job, you need a reference to secure that job. We provide a reference for you. This is how you gain experience. And that's why if you go to Hope's profile, you'd see that she kept analytics as part of her work experience. If you go to Pavel's profile, who works as a healthcare data and reporting analyst with the Arizona Community Physicians, he has analytics as part of his experience. If you go to Sandra's profile, you'd see Sandra listing Amdari where she did her internship as part of her work experience. This is how you show employers that I'm not a newbie. I can do the job for you because I currently do the job at the moment. Okay. And of course, you have a portfolio. I've talked about that already. And I'll take you to the 4th strategy. And this is knowing where to apply and how to apply. We touched on that at the beginning of our session. So when you want to land a job, it's not just about having the skill. You need to know where and how to apply. So I've shown you different, boards, job boards, the Tenalytics job board, the Amdari job board, and I showed you other, strategies you get to deploy. Focus on startups and also focusing on innovation hubs where you get to network and meet potential employers. This is something we get done for you. So you get to see all the documents I'll be sharing with you at the end of today's session. Okay, a lot of documents. Okay, let me show you some of them. And if you haven't filled the attendance, make sure you do that so you get access to these documents. So I'm going to share these documents with you. The tech hubs, global tech hubs. I'm going to share the job boards for startups. I'll share remote job boards in Canada, remote job boards in the US, and so on and so forth. Okay, and of course, I'll also share the link where you get to access organizations, their LinkedIn URL, the founder URL on LinkedIn, so you can reach out and you start to connect with professionals like this. These are the things we make available to you, including more. And when you're applying to jobs, I showed you how CV Matchly helps you do the magic, tailoring your CV to the job requirements. This is how you apply. So you guarantee yourself an interview. When you've done the first step, get into a high demand career path. Number 2, you learn the right way by learning in a project-based environment and building a portfolio. Number 3, you show that you have work experience. And number 4, You know where to apply, you know how to apply. The final stage is where you get your job reference. So you see, when you list Tenalytics and Amdari as part of your work experience, when you get a job, every organization would want to validate your background. They want to do a background check. Where have you used these tools, these technologies? Where have you worked before? Can we speak to your referee? So what happens is, all you need to do is list Tenalytics as part of your work experience. So this is Busola, who got a job with Desjardins. Okay, when she got the job, she reached out to me saying, "Hello, Adeza. My name is Busola Adesonya. Okay, kindly look out for a communication from Desjardins. I recently just got an offer from them." Okay, so a few days after, I told her I'd responded, and she said, "I got an offer from them on Friday, and I agreed to it." And this was what Desjardins, they reached out to me. The top of the email is in French, but you have the English version at the bottom, where they were simply saying, "I want you to confirm Busola. Tell me how Busola likes to work, what are her strengths and her weaknesses, and so on and so forth." And this is Busola right here. I showed you Busola earlier. This is Busola Adesonya. She still works with Desjardins up till today. You have Ahmed. Ahmed works with the NHS in the UK. The same way the NHS would want to validate. Tell me about Ahmed. Ahmed got a job as a health informatics support worker. Ahmed joined our healthcare data analytics program. Last year in June, he got an offer from the NHS as a health informatics support worker. And this is the NHS reaching out. "Hello, Mr. Deza Suleiman. The above name have been offered a post of healthcare informatics support worker. He has given permission for us to approach you for a reference. I'd be grateful if you could let me have your opinion regarding his suitability for the post by completing the attached reference request form." This is where positioning yourself as somebody who has done the job for you gives you an added advantage when it comes to having a reference provided. All right. And that's what employers want to see. Employers want to see somebody that can do the job because you've done the job before. Okay. So that's the fifth strategy you have to take into consideration. And of course, I break them down into learn. So you select a career path in data analytics and business analysis, healthcare data analytics, healthcare business analysis, agile project management, and GRC. And you focus on one. When you do that, we help to package you, which means presenting and positioning you as the best candidate for the job. We help you gain work experience, working on projects, doing your internship with Amdari, and that leads to you getting a reference at the end of the day. We help revamp your CV. We show you how to tailor your CV to job requirements using tools like CV Matchly and so on. We help with LinkedIn optimization. We help with you building a portfolio. You join multiple mentorship sessions. Your mentorship sessions happens on Thursday evenings. Your live classes happens on Saturdays, and I'm going to tell you how that plays out. And when you have an interview, all you have to do is go to your LMS, the Learning Management System, go to your dashboard, and on your dashboard, you would see interview prep. All you need to do is click on schedule interview, fill all the details, what stage of the interview, first stage interview, second stage interview, copy the link to the job, post it right here, copy the job description, paste it, upload the CV you've used to apply, and we will prep you for that interview. This is also where any day, anytime, you can log into your LMS, you can click on continue learning, you can watch your videos at your own convenience, any day, anytime, anywhere. Okay, and you have your live classes on Saturdays. Every Saturday is when you have a live class where you have a professional sitting in front of you, helping you out to work on projects together, and so on and so forth. And when we have positioned and presented you as the best candidate for the job by equipping you with employability skills, We show you where to apply, how to apply, and that's what gets you the job. All right. So I'm going to show you how to get started, and then we'll take questions before we call it a day. But one thing I want to also highlight and mention is how the program runs, how long does it take, and how your classes are structured. So you learn with us for 6 months. So this is not your become a data analyst or business analyst in 2 weeks. Timelines that are impossible. 6 months learning at analytics and 2 months internship. So every Saturday for 6 months, you are learning the tools, learning the concept, learning the theories, working on projects, working on practicals, solving problems, and you're building your portfolio. Then when you are done, you have 2 months internship where you get to collaborate. The data analyst will collaborate with the business analyst, collaborate with the GRC analyst, and you solve problems together. Because that's what you do in the real world of work. You don't work in silos, you collaborate. So 8 months learning journey. But what we've seen happen is people get jobs in 5 months, people get jobs in 4 months, and so on, simply because if I'm a data analyst, for example, like I showed you earlier, my first 3 months or my first 4 months, I've learned problem solving, I've learned Excel, I've learned Power BI, I've learned Excel, I've learned SQL. Okay, I've learned SQL. So what we do is we start to put the fire under you and say, go ahead and apply to jobs. And when you're applying to jobs, this is what you should do. Like I showed you at the beginning, if you go to a platform like JobRite, go to the filters and select the skills you have. So I can take out skills. I don't know Tableau. Maybe I've not got into Tableau. Take out Tableau. You would have learned data analysis when learning Excel. Maybe you don't know project management. Take out project management. You'd have learned data visualization with Excel as well. Maybe you've not done Power BI. Take out Power BI. Okay. And what do? Confirm. You will get list of jobs that meets your current level of skills. And this is where you see people get jobs in 4 months, in 3 months, in 5 months, even before they complete the program. Because you're not just applying randomly. You are targeting the jobs that meet your current skills at that point in time. Okay. And of course, your classes happen 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays, Mountain Standard Time. So if you're in Alberta, Canada, that's 11 a.m. If you're in Ontario, that is 1 p.m. Eastern Time is 1 p.m. as well. So you can do the conversion yourself, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, and you can convert. If you're in Canada, you're in the US, there's a class tailored to your time zone. Now, if you're in the UK, you're in Europe, you have a class tailored to your time zone as well, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. UK time. And your mentorship sessions happens on Thursdays in the evenings. Okay, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, you have your mentorship sessions. And this is where we bring in professionals in the industry to come tell you what happens in the industry. You have the opportunity to ask questions and so on and so forth. So what does it take for you to start your journey today? That's the final part of our session. And then we'll take questions and answers before we wrap up. Okay, the next cohort starts on the 4th of July, next week, Saturday. And for those starting the next cohort, that's the next 6 months, you want to dedicate that to building the skills that you need, getting into one of the career paths that I've shared, and also building a career, getting a job in that area. I have an amazing offer for those who will be getting started today. Okay, so the next cohort is next week, Saturday, for those who want to get started. And what does it take for you to start your journey next week, Saturday? All right, I have an offer for the first 10 people that will be registering. We have 10 slots available. The current fee to register for any of the program is $1,250 for you to start. But we have a 20% off where you only get to pay $1,000 to get into any of the program and get every single thing I've discussed today. And that's just one part of the offer. There's a second one that would also come and I'll share and explain the second offer to you. So rather than paying $1,250, if I want to get into agile project management, for example, I get to pay just $1,000 and I can make my payments in multiple installments. So what it takes for me to start is not $1,000. It only takes $200 for me to start, and I can break my payments into multiple installments of up to 5 installments. Okay, so I'm going to show you how that works and how you can take advantage of that, and we'll take questions. So I want to register today. I want to get started. I want to join data analytics, or I want to join business analysis. I want to join GRC. How do I start? My colleague Elijah dropped a link in the chat. Okay, and if you fall within the first 10 people to register, you also get into the discounts, and you have that available to you. So once you click on that link, this is what you get to see. So I'm going to show you. You get to the website, okay, and all you have to do is go to Start Learning. So Start Learning, and it takes you to, you can click on View All Courses. So View All Courses will show you all the courses available. Like I mentioned today, we spoke about non-coding careers. Okay, non-coding careers. So I'm interested in data analytics, governance, risk, and compliance. I'm interested in healthcare data analytics. That's the health tech analyst. All I need to do is click on enroll. It takes me to where I can get to enroll. So I click on enroll. It takes me to where I create a profile, and this is very straightforward. So I just enter my name, enter my surname, enter my phone number. Okay, I have read the terms and conditions, and of course I'll enter an email. Okay, so you enter an email. I'm going to copy that, paste an email right there, and sign up. Okay, so the moment you sign up, it takes you into where you can select the cohorts you want to join. And I would also show you the second part of the offer that I mentioned. All right, so I can start the July cohort, or if I have commitments in July, I want to start in August, I can join the August cohort. The beauty is, if I fall within the first 10, even though I select August, I still get to enjoy the discounts. Okay, but let's say I want to start in July. I click on July. Now, here is a second offer that even makes it more amazing for those who want to start their careers within this space. If I make a one-time payment, where instead of paying $1,250, I get a discount to pay $1,000, but I want to pay once. So you get a further discount and pay only $950. So you're saving over $300 in total. But here's the catch. You also get a full job application service after the first 3 months. So once you've learned for 3 months, we know that you've gained certain sets of skills that you can start to go to interviews. We start applying to jobs after your first 3 months, and we guarantee you 2 interviews. So we keep on applying to jobs for you until you get 2 interviews at the minimum. Okay, so usually what happens is you get a lot more because we have applied to so many jobs for you. Once the first 2 interviews come, some of the jobs we applied to maybe a few weeks ago, you still get interviews afterwards. Okay, so we guarantee you at least 2 interviews, and you get a full job application service. So what we're telling you that don't worry yourself, focus on learning, focus on building your skills, focus on building your portfolio, focus on attending classes. We will handle job application for you until you get at least 2 interviews. So there is no way you lose with this. And when you get those interviews, we prep you for the interviews as well. Okay, now if you make payment in 2 installments, you get to pay $1,000, which means you're saving about $250. You also get the full job application and also the guaranteed 2 interviews. The only difference is you're paying a little bit more than if you made a one-time payment. And of course, you can pay in up to 5 installments, whereby what it takes for you to start is just $200. On the 4th of July, you start on the 4th of July. or you pay just 200. Okay. Now you also get the job application service for free. The only difference is you start your job application service. We start for you after the 5th month. Okay, so we also guarantee you 2 interviews, guaranteed. We're going to get you 2 interviews. We prepare you for those interviews, and these are the benefits that come with you registering. So the first part is you get an amazing discount. The second part is we do the full job application service for you. All right. Now the prerequisite to getting the full job application means you have to attend at least 90% of your classes. So you don't want to be somebody that misses classes and you want to get into interviews and mess up. No. So you attend classes, you must have a portfolio, and that qualifies you for the job application service. We do it for you, we get you your interviews, and we prep you for those interviews. So you select your preferred option, maybe 2 installments, you click on that, and then you go to confirm your information is correct. I've read the terms and conditions. Click on pay now and click on pay now. Okay, so the moment you click on pay now, it takes you to the checkout. You enter your card details. Okay, enter your card details. And once you do that, you complete entering your card details and make payments. You get added to the LMS automatically. You also get a confirmation into, so if I click on pay, it will tell me my payment is complete. It redirects me to where I complete a few more information, confirm my phone number, confirm my email by sending an OTP, and then it adds me to the LMS. In the LMS, I complete my onboarding. My onboarding includes me watching a few videos and downloading the tools and technologies that I need for that program. So we've curated and created videos for you. And all you have to do is go to the videos and download the tools and technologies. All right. So I'm just going to wait to get the OTP. So when you get the OTP, you enter the OTP, confirm your email, and also confirm your phone number, fill all the details, and that gets you into the LMS. And that's how you get your journey started. For those who want to start and ensure that the next half of the year, from July to the end of December, is worth it. So when we say that I'm going to change, 2026 would be my year, this is one of the easiest ways you can get that started. Okay, so I'm going to take questions before we wrap up. I can see a question from Abdul Wahab. Abdul Wahab is asking, 2 payments have come in, by the way, while I was explaining the payment process. But let me take the question from Abdul Wahab. Hello, Adeza. Can you quickly go through the differences between data analytics and business analysis? Absolutely. I'll explain the 2 areas for you very quickly, Abdul Wahab. Okay, so as a data analyst, what tools do you learn? And what do you do for an organization? Okay, as a data analyst, your role is very simple. You are somebody who uses data to help organizations make decisions. You use data to help organizations make decisions. Okay, so I'm not sure where you are, Abdul Wahab. Maybe you type that into the chat. So let's take, for example, you're in Canada and you shop at Superstore, or you shop at No Frills, or wherever you shop, at Costco, and so on. Okay, if you work as a data analyst at Costco, for example, some of the questions you'd help Costco answer is, why are sales dropping in specific locations? Which marketing campaign works the best? Which products are customers buying the most? You do something called basket analysis. Okay, customer basket analysis. Basket analysis simply means when a customer walks into a Costco store, and I'm using Costco not because of anything, I'm just using it to explain the role of the data analyst. Okay, so when a customer walks into Costco and maybe they buy detergent right at the entrance of Costco. What is the next item for customers who buy detergent? What's the next item they usually buy? Okay, so when they buy a detergent, the next item they usually, buy is maybe a scent boost. Okay, so let's say scent boost. So you've done this analysis looking at all the sales from customers within that particular Costco warehouse. All right, and you've seen that when a customer buys detergent, it usually goes with a scent boost. You've done that basket analysis of all the customers. What you now do is you recommend to the management that we need to properly station the scent boost beside the detergent so we can increase sales of these two products. So when you go into a store, you go into a Costco, you go into a Target, you go into Walmart, and you see items placed at specific locations. They are there because somebody has carried out a customer basket analysis and they know what you're likely going to buy. And they put those items together. They place them in strategic locations. So when you buy that one item, you can see the next item for you to buy. So a data analyst would answer these questions for organizations. They want to use data to answer questions that the companies have. That's the role of the data analyst. And for you to carry out these analyses, you learn problem solving, you learn Microsoft Excel, SQL, structured query language, Power BI, Tableau, you learn data storytelling, generative AI for data analytics using ChatGPT, Microsoft Fabric, which helps you connect and automate your analytic processes. These are the tools and technologies you would learn. Now, as a business analyst, your role is a bit different. Remember, Abdul Wahab, a data analyst will do what? Focus on helping organizations answer questions using data. The business analyst, on the other hand, focuses on processes. Okay, how does this process start? And let's take a hospital, for example. I like using this example because it's relatable. You can easily relate to it. So a hospital has a lot of walk-in patients. So patients walk into the hospital. Okay, so you have patients and they walk in rather than booking appointments. And you realize that this is causing a problem of congestion. Okay, so you have a lot of congestion in the ICU, the emergency, the intensive care units. You have a lot of congestion, and that's a problem. So what would the business analyst do? The business analyst would look at the process of why are customers walking in rather than booking appointments. So the business analyst would look at the process of how patients actually book appointments and how they walk into the hospital. And in the process, you are analyzing for the gaps and the inefficiencies. Okay, and one of the inefficiency is for customers to book appointments, they have to call. And sometimes they wait too long on the call before somebody picks up the call and actually takes their details and book the appointment. So as a business analyst, what do? You want to streamline that process. You want to optimize the process. So you recommend to the hospital that we need to have something called a patient management system where patients can book appointments online and the doctors can also see the appointments on their schedule, okay, on their calendars, and they get automated reminders when it is a day or 24 hours before their appointment. So you recommend that let's build this patient management system. Before you decide to go ahead and build, you won't build it yourself, but you recommend, you will sit down with the doctors, the hospital administrators, and you will gather requirements. What do we need to have on this patient management system? What should it be able to do from your own perspective, from the doctors, from the hospital administrators, from the nurses, and so on and so forth? You will take those requirements, you will gather the requirements and document, and you have something called a business requirement document. That's the document you take and you give it to the technology team that will build the patient management system for you. So as the business analyst, you would ensure that you are the middleman between the hospital and the technology team building that patient management system so that it meets the requirements of what we want. It must have everything that we want. And when it is done and ready to be deployed, you would organize workshops. You get the technology team to hold training to all the hospital staff so they know how to use that system. You communicate to the patient so they know that you have a new system available and they can book appointments online rather than just walking in. That's your role. Look at processes, identify gaps, inefficiencies, and optimize the process. And for you to do that, you're going to learn Excel, Power BI, and SQL, because the business analyst in 2026 needs to know how to use Excel, Power BI, and SQL. It's not your bread and butter every day, but you need to know how to use it. Then you need to learn process mapping, how to map out processes using tools like Lucidchart, Draw.io. You need to learn project initiation and planning, which is a project management skill. You need to learn Agile and Scrum for projects, which is a project management skill. You need to learn the software development lifecycle, which is also a project management skill. You need to understand requirement fundamentals, elicitation, asking the right questions, interviewing to get requirements, to get solutions to the problems you're trying to solve. And as your role as a business analyst would mean that you interact with different stakeholders, different people across different levels and cater within the organization. So you must have skills as a stakeholder to manage stakeholders, analyze the stakeholder, who has the most power, who is the decision maker on this particular project, and so on and so forth. Then you learn generative AI for the business analyst. Okay, so you get to learn how to use Confluence to collaborate on projects, Jira to track project deliverables, Trello to track team members' tasks and responsibilities on projects, Azure DevOps to help you implement the Agile methodology on projects, and of course, ChatGPT for generative AI for the business analyst. So as a data analyst, your role is what? Get data from the database or the data warehouse, analyze the data, help the business answer questions. If we need to open a new Costco location, which location gives us the highest revenue? Do we need to open another location in that area? What's the product that sells the most? What's the best performing location? What's our customer basket analysis? Netflix wants to know how many new subscribers did we get between January till date. And you do that analysis for them. You get into the data warehouse, get the customer data, and analyze the data. That's the role of the data analyst. The business analyst, on the other hand, focuses on what? Processes. How do we make this process better? How do we improve the process? How do we look for the gaps and the inefficiencies? How do we build systems like the patient management system and technologies that would help us optimize and make us a lot more efficient? I hope that explains or answers your question, Abdul Wahab. Okay, so the difference between the data analysts and the healthcare data analysts, they do exactly the same thing. They use the exact same technologies. The only difference is, as a healthcare data analyst, you work with 80% healthcare projects. So when you join and you are learning, 80% of your projects will be healthcare related because you want to get into the healthcare space. And 20% would be other sectors. So like your retail, Costco, No Frills, Superstore, Walmart, you work on projects like that, FMCG, you work on projects in automobile, you work on projects in logistics, just to give you an idea of other sectors. But the majority of your projects would be in healthcare as a healthcare data analyst. Same with the business analyst as well. As a business analyst, you get to work on all projects across multiple sectors. But as a healthcare business analyst, you work on 80% of healthcare projects. Okay, that's for the healthcare business analyst. All right, and as a GRC analyst, what do you do? A GRC analyst is somebody who is responsible for helping a company stay safe and follow the rules in order to avoid penalties and in order to avoid problems. All right, so you create the framework, the governance framework, and you create the structure that ensures that employees within an organization have access to certain information while some other employees don't have that access. For example, when a new employee gets into a company, how do they get access to a data warehouse? How do they get access to a database? What's the governance framework around that? Who do they request access from? Who owns that asset? Does it belong to IT? Does it belong to technology? Does it belong to the CIO? Who is responsible? So that no new employee can come into the organization and get access to sensitive data that they shouldn't get access to. So you create those policies, you create those frameworks to make sure that there is control. Okay, so first of all, you create the governance rules, the framework, the rules that the organization has to follow so they don't get into problem. All right, and what do? You monitor to be sure that everybody is compliant with the rules and regulations. In the US, for example, in healthcare, you have HIPAA, which guides which guides the data privacy within organizations. In Europe, the rest of the world, you have the GDPR, and in Canada, you have FIPA. Okay, so how do we ensure we are compliant with these regulations, industry regulations, and so on and so forth? HIPAA, I'm not sure if it's HIPAA or HIPAA, one of the two. So, and you also ensure that you comply with external regulations and you report to management so that the company doesn't get into or contravene, policies and contravene regulations. Essentially, that's what you do. Okay, so you learn how to use Kali Linux and VirtualBox in order to get your job done as a GRC analyst. GRC is one of the easiest and straightforward way to get into cybersecurity for somebody who doesn't want to do penetration testing, ethical hacking, and so on and so forth, which involves some level of scripting and so on. Okay, you don't want to bother yourself with coding, scripting, and all of that. GRC is one of the best places for you to be. Okay, and these are all beginner-friendly programs. You don't need to have experience. All you need is to have the will to get started in any of these areas. Okay, I'm not sure. I don't know if we have more questions. I have 5 slots gone already out of the 10 slots available, and I have 5 more slots left. All right, so for those who will be getting started, interested in starting their journey in the next 1 week, on Saturday next week, you have the opportunity to get access to join at an amazing offer, amazing discounts, and you also have the opportunity to break your payment into multiple installments. Now, one thing I want you to do, I also want to show you before we wrap up today, is I want you to go to YouTube. All right, I want you to go to YouTube and I want you to search for Tenalytics on YouTube. Okay, now the reason why you want to do this is, and subscribe. Okay, subscribe to Tenalytics. So click on the logo and then subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed and you have the opportunity to see all the amazing stuff we've built over the last 5 to 6 years. We'll be 6 in August this year, 2026. And you can also listen to amazing professionals just like you. They started by joining a free information session. They decided to join a career path, and today they are doing amazingly well for themselves. So all you have to do is click on the alumni job success stories, and it takes you to almost 190 videos of people that have landed jobs in different spaces. Okay, how I became a senior relationship manager in the UAE, how I became a permanent staff as a financial analyst. You have Amaka, who was in HR back in Nigeria. Today, Amaka is a HR data analyst with Sask Energy in Canada. You have Ayobami, who got a job as an income data and insights analyst in the US. She moved to the US for her master's, and she's currently in the US with a job as an income data and insights analyst. You have Mr. Ola, who is in the UK. He worked with the Home Office in the UK for over 25 years. He's at the age of 60. He's looking to retire, and he joined our business analysis program, and he got a job with the HMRC as a fire and safety data analyst at the age of 60. You want to listen to Mr. Ola, and so on and so forth. Amazing professionals. Vanessa is in Paris, in France. Vanessa got a job without applying. And the way she got the job without applying is after she optimized her LinkedIn profile. The moment she optimized her LinkedIn profile, organizations started to reach out to her. We prepped her for her interviews, and she got that job. You want to listen to Vanessa as well. And so many other professionals, okay? So that's something you want to do before we wrap up today. I'll see if we have any question I haven't answered yet. I don't know if Christian is still here, because Christian was somebody I had in mind. Okay. Christian is no longer here. We started the conversation with Christian saying, I can't land interviews, but I hope I've been able to show Christian exactly what he needs to do. All right. So I have 5 slots left for those who will be interested in starting. Take advantage of the discounts. If you have questions afterwards, maybe you've registered already, you have more questions you'd like to ask us in your community where you received an email from us, you received a message to join this call, you would also get a link for you to book something we call a clarity session. So this clarity session is where you get to sit down with one of our career coaches and you have the opportunities to ask them questions, right? And at this juncture, we'd call it a day. Since we don't have any more questions. And I want to say thanks for joining us this Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, depending on where you are. And I look forward to working with all of you, the 5 of you that have registered today. I look forward to working with you. And for those of you that go ahead to register afterwards, I look forward to starting with you on the 4th of July next week, Saturday. Right? Thank you very much for joining. Have an amazing, amazing weekend ahead of you. Now, where is the link to book the one-on-one? So you're going to get that in your community, Abdul Wahab. So what is going to send that to you? You get that in your community and you can book the one-on-one session. Okay, Elijah is responsible for that. So Elijah is going to ensure that you get the link to book the one-on-one if you want a one-on-one session. All right. So thank you, everyone. Have an amazing Saturday and an amazing Sunday ahead of you. Cheers, everyone. Until we see you another time.